I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the Team Chip Podcast. Man, I'm excited to be here with you today. Today, we're going to talk about drama-free leadership, creating a culture of respect and resolution. So, man, I know, simple things we've probably talked about before, but it's a drum worth beating over and over and over. Drama-free leadership. You know, every school owner, every business operator, they want to have an environment of respect, a place where, you know, problems get solved quickly, expectations are clear, communication is good, and all those kinds of things. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. You know, we've talked about conflict resolution in the past. This one's not about handling conflict after it happens. You know, what's the old cliche, what mama say, prevention is the best medicine, right? You know, don't put yourself in a bad situation. So, you know, creating a culture of good leadership and drama-free culture is about prevention. It's about, handling conflict or issues before they come up to the best of our ability. They're always going to come up. There's always going to be things, but it's about building a culture so strong that drama just can't exist and can't get momentum. So remember, culture kills drama when respect is modeled and reinforced every day. Culture kills drama when respect is modeled and reinforced every day. So let's talk a little bit about the root of a respectful culture. Guys, never forget, it starts with the top. It starts at the top. It starts with leadership. And, I hate to be hierarchical, but when you own the business, you're kind of at the top, and you bring in staff. We lovingly like to call them the team, bring in the team. And, what are you modeling? Modeling. Such a powerful thing. I know I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. It's that drum worth hitting again. It's, people don't do what we say. They do what we do. And when you're a martial arts instructor, I think it's really exacerbated. You get to see it because you watch your students and their little nuances in the way they move, and you go, where'd they get that? And you go, oh gosh, I look in the mirror. They got that for me. I do that before I throw a punch or before I kick or whatever. So you really have to watch those things. And as leaders in a business and organization, especially martial arts school, we've got to watch what we model. Your tone, your inflection, the way you carry yourself kind of becomes the way the team has, it becomes the team's tone, their inflection. So we need to be calm, steady, consistent at all times and model that calm and that steadiness and that consistency and that confidence so that the team can learn to do the same thing. Because again, they're going to do what they see. Remember, we can't demand respect. We don't want to lead our organizations, and we don't want to create a culture that's based on authority. We want to create a culture that's based on positive influence. And so, something to ask yourself is, if you're operating a business, you're leading a team of any kind, am I modeling the attitude and discipline that I expect? To put it in other words, sometimes when I'm teaching young instructors and helping them to learn to become teachers or instructors, they'll come to me with issues like, hey, this little guy did this. Today I was having a conversation with my son, by the way, about this exact thing. Have a kid in class that sometimes when I make corrections, he always has, a negative comeback or, he has this or that. So what I tell my young guys, and I know this may be a little bit out in left field, I kind of think I pull this from my mom a little bit here, is imagine that child you're dealing with is your kid. It's your son, it's your daughter. How would you want a leader in their life to speak to them? That can be tough, like kind of step out of your shoes, look at that situation. How would you want someone to, to speak to them? What kind of attitude would you want someone to give your child? What kind of presence would you want them to give? So think about that in the times that you have to make responses or corrections or give feedback. How would you want someone to treat your own child? I think that kind of really gets down to the bone in a way, because it's easy to go, that's someone else's kid, I'll just go smash them into place. But that's a horrible way to approach it. What I need to think is if that was my child, how would I want them handled? And I'll be honest with you, I want my kids handled correctly. That means if they need harsh, it's okay. Let's give them harsh. If they need calm, and compassionate, which it should always be calm. Let me qualify that. It should always be calm. But if they need a little compassion, a little bit of grace in this situation, let's give that, right? Let's use some mature common sense as the leader in the situation, as the mature person in the situation. And I air quoted that mature, by the way. Let's make sure that we're calm in that moment. So anyway, with that said, when we're creating our culture with our team, how would we want someone treating our child? I hope that makes sense. But sometimes I think that's a good way to kind of back out and kind of look at what you're doing and go, man, if someone was treating my kid this way, I would not like it. I would not be comfortable with that. And so, I think sometimes that's just a good way to kind of think through it. So anyway, why does drama die in a healthy culture? And when I use the word drama, gossip, hearsay, constant poking and prodding, jockeying for positions, and, never getting on the bus and facing the right direction once a decision's made about a project or a direction that we're going to go, that kind of drama. Now, I feel like I need to qualify this when we are, I don't want to get too sidetracked. When we are working on a project, we're working on a direction with something, I want all the perspectives. I want to sit at the table with the team and go, okay, what do you think? What do you feel? How do you see it? What do you think we should do here? I want to hear all the perspectives. So I want to give them an opportunity to have a voice, to be involved, all of those things. But if there are, three that have a particular perspective on something and three over here that have a particular perspective that kind of, that's a little disparate, that's separate, and we end up going, okay, we have to make a decision. So we make the decision and it fits with these three, but not these three as well. I still expect these three, no drama, no jockeying, to get on board. And hey, that's the way we're going to go. Let's move. We've got it, and that expectation is set clear up front. But strong, in doing that, you build a strong culture that kind of takes the oxygen that drama needs away from drama. Clear behavior and expectations, on and off the mat, around the public, around your people, always is so, so important. Issues get handled correctly, quickly, directly, privately. Again, I've already said it, but no gossip and triangulation. Everyone knows, who to go to and how. And what I mean by that is if there is an issue, instead of talking out to the team around you, or even, to the clients around you about that, which in my mind is kind of like gossiping, you talk up in a way. Again, I hate the hierarchy, but up to someone that can do something about it. You take that up. So, we just want to create a culture that doesn't allow drama to really get any momentum and get started. And we do everything with a high level of respect. When respect is the norm, people can be confident and calm. And when you expect, respect, and you expect maturity, and you model that to the best of your ability. And let me tell you, I've made some absolutely immature, off the hip, bad decisions so many times. It's not even funny. So I've learned these lessons the hard way. But the more we model those things, the better the culture tends to be, because again, the team will follow what they see the leaders do. So just let's talk some practical steps in how we can build that culture kind of from the ground up. So first, check yourself as the leader. Make sure you're balanced, to make sure that you're approaching things, again, calm, clear, maturely. As if you have a problem, even if it's a pretty heavy problem, don't get emotional and attack it like crazy. So the point of that is, what are we modeling? Make sure that we're modeling the correct thing. The next thing is set expectations early. Okay, guys, here it is. If you have problems like this, here's the steps you take, and make sure you're clear on those steps and how to handle that. If something's going great, here's how we celebrate it. On both sides of the coin, good and bad, make sure that everyone has clear expectations and how those things need to be handled. And remember, I'm going to say it again, make sure you're modeling that first, but then have those expectations and then stick to them. If someone veers from the expectations, you got to grab that and correct it and bring it back. Communicate these expectations often. It sounds silly, but how many times as a kid did mom have to tell you, hey, take a bath, put on clean underwear before you leave, take a bath. One time I asked my mom, why is that so important? Because, I'm a kid, I'm a boy, and that's what I do. Well, why is that important, Mama? And she goes, well, buddy, if you're in the car and have a wreck and you got dirty drawers and they have to peel your clothes off of you to work on you, that's going to be embarrassing, right? So, but as kids, we got to keep reminding them, remember your team has a life cycle in your business. When they first start, they're almost an infant in your realm. And so you got to start teaching them. They're kind of dependent on you to guide them. And I hate to use the word hold their hand, kind of hold their hand a little bit and get them going. And then they grow and become independent. And then eventually, this is a whole different podcast, but they become interdependent, and they are so valuable to you when they get to that level. But we need to, in that kind of infancy and dependency time, we need to make sure that we're communicating those expectations over and over. And then even with the mature team, over time, we're still repeating those expectations and modeling them so that they get them. Publicly praise, privately reprimand. This is so huge. When the team does something good, praise it in front of everybody, clients, the other team, everybody. Not to create jealousy or problems, but to number one, celebrate them and make them feel good, because the things that we celebrate and make people feel good about, they will tend to do again. We want to encourage the behaviors that we want to see, right? It's also to build confidence in that team member. Like, okay, I got that right. I'm gonna try to continue to get that right. Privately reprimand. Don't, out of your own ego or whatever it is, walk in and just attack a teammate or a staff member if they've done something wrong. They're going to have to do something really bad wrong, really ethically wrong for me to do something like that. If they just make a general mistake, hey, wait till that class is finished if it's an instructor, and pull them to the side and talk them through that privately. Private reprimand, publicly praise. It's huge. Celebrate character wins and point out the behaviors that you want repeated. This is how we build that culture, that drama-free culture. And whenever there are behaviors we don't want, we address them. And we address them quickly and timely. It's, I always think about it like this. Whenever I was a kid, we raised dogs for a period of time, and we trained dogs inside and out and for different things. And when a dog TT'd on the carpet, you had to address it in that moment while it was fresh. You couldn't wait till tomorrow. It had to be now. It's the same with humans. We need to address issues quickly. If they have a great moment, celebrate it now. Just 30 seconds. Man, I'm so proud of you. That was amazing. Let's do that again. If it's bad, and even if you need to wait a few minutes to get out of that class, or maybe there's something going on, but pretty quick we get on that and we have that conversation while it's still kind of fresh before it kind of slides away. And train your staff to be black belts in communication. Man, this is a battle. Lack of communication is a root of war, right? Two nations side by side, and they don't communicate well, and eventually tensions build up and they become like pressure cookers, and there's an explosion that happens. We can't let that happen. We have to constantly communicate with our team intentionally and systematically, which means get meetings on calendars, get your check-ins on your calendars so you're constantly making contact and communicating. And teach them to do the same thing. Teach them to communicate well, right? I can't beat that drum hard enough. It's so important that our team learns how to communicate. And multifaceted. If you're a martial arts instructor and you're teaching 4 to 6 year olds, you communicate a certain way to those guys. 7 to 12 or 7 to 11, a certain way. 12 to 15, 18, a certain way. Mature adults, a certain way. So, and then whenever that staff member is communicating with another staff member, is it kind of a way you communicate there? Or they're communicating up to a superior or down to a subordinate. So there's lots of layers to communication, and I don't think you can ever spend too much time role-playing, polishing, and modeling good expectations in those areas. And when communication is strong, drama tends to get weak. Drama for leadership is not about avoiding hard conversations at all. It's handling them with fairness, calmness, self-control. So with that said, just some nuggets around the idea of building a drama-free culture. You've probably heard me say this in the past, but people don't quit a job typically. They quit a boss. And in my mind, they're quitting a culture because typically a boss that you perceive as a negative boss has allowed a negative culture. What we celebrate and what we allow, we get. And so if we allow poor behavior in this culture, then it's kind of like we gave it a little stamp of approval because we're going to let it continue to happen. So we can't. That's where we have to have that private reprimand. We've got to pull someone aside and go, hey, let's make a little adjustment here and get that back on the right track. So anyway, just wanted to encourage you around the idea culture makes a business successful. Creating a good culture is what makes something successful over time. It's one of the major ingredients. It's not everything, but it is monstrous. Without a good culture, you can't keep up. I just don't believe you can keep a business going for long, not well. So this week, I want to encourage you to evaluate your culture. Ask yourself some questions. Am I modeling calm, mature confidence? Am I modeling that public praise, private reprimand? Am I doing those things and doing those things well? Am I laying out expectations crystal clear so that people know what to expect and don't get surprises when I go, hey, that's not the way that's supposed to be. And they go, I did not know that, right? Is your team seeing you handle pressure with that calm clarity? So remember, I've said it already, but what you tolerate and allow and what you celebrate is what you tend to get. So I just want to encourage you, let's be clear about expectations, super good communication, make sure you're staying in tight communication, calm, mature, and clear, and minimize having drama in your culture. And the earlier you can get a command of that and get control of that, and I absolutely understand the bigger your organization is, the harder it is because you have so many more moving parts with people. But just encourage you to build a powerful, positive culture that your people want to be a part of, look forward to, love, and that it lends itself to a high level of trust. People want to go back to a place where they have a lot of trust. All right, guys, hope that was helpful. Love it. Love you guys. Appreciate you. If you want to hear about anything particular or want any thoughts on any areas, please let us know. Shoot us a message, subscribe. We're just honored to be here and thankful for all of you. Give us a 5-star review. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review because we need you. We appreciate you so much. And without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success. So go out there and never be outworked.